My husband wanted me to cook to impress his boss's family, so I invited them to a private banquet in a presidential suite none of them could afford. The sound of my own tears hitting the marble kitchen floor was the only thing that broke the silence of the early morning. Today, I'm going to tell you something I never thought I would. And if you, for just a second, feel like this sounds familiar, I just ask that you leave a like and subscribe. It will help me to keep unburdening myself. It's 5:30 in the morning in my kitchen on the Upper East Side, New York City. My hands are swollen from kneading the dough for the ravioli I need to have ready in a few hours. The navy blue apron I've worn for 15 years is stained with flour and tomato sauce, but I don't care anymore. Lawrence is asleep upstairs, snoring with that peace only men who never worry about the details that uphold their reputation can have. My name is Catherine Hope Miller. I am 58 years old, and for the last 32, I have been the perfect wife, the ideal hostess, the woman who cooks, cleans, smiles, and stays invisible when necessary. My brown hair is now streaked with gray that I try to cover with a box dye every 3 weeks, because going to the salon is a luxury Lawrence considers unnecessary for a woman your age. This morning, as I mix the eggs with the ricotta for the filling, I remember the exact words he said to me last night. "Catherine, listen to me carefully. Tomorrow, Mr. Eugene Sterling is coming with his whole family. This is my chance to land the regional director position. I need you to work your magic in the kitchen, the kind your mother used to brag about, but please, don't be too present. Serve, smile, and let us talk business." The knife I'm using to chop the herbs trembles slightly in my hand. It's not the first time Lawrence has asked me to make myself small so he could shine, but something in his tone last night, that mix of desperation and shame when he mentioned my mother, cut me like a razor. My mother, God rest her soul, was the best cook in all of Queens. She sold Christmas cookies in December and the most amazing apple pies in the fall. And with those earnings, she paid for my secretarial school tuition. "Honey," she would tell me while stirring a pot of her famous chili, "the kitchen is power. The one who feeds, rules. Never forget that." How ironic that I now use that power to make my husband look important in front of people who don't even know my name. The clock strikes 6 in the morning as I finish the fresh pasta. I have to prepare an antipasto of prosciutto and cheeses, braised short ribs, creamy polenta, and the special dessert, tiramisu with a homemade salted caramel sauce. Everything must be perfect by 7 this evening. I start up the stairs to wake Lawrence, but I stop on the top step. His voice drifts from our bedroom. He's on a phone call, speaking in a low, almost secretive tone. "Yes, Mr. Sterling, everything is set. My wife is preparing a spectacular dinner. She's very discreet. She won't interrupt our conversations. Yes, she's a very traditional woman, the kind who stays quiet while the men talk about important things." He laughs, a laugh that freezes my blood. "Don't worry, you won't even notice her. It's like she's part of the furniture." Furniture. He called me furniture. I walk back down the stairs like a zombie and sit in the small wooden chair where I have my breakfast every morning while Lawrence reads the Wall Street Journal and sips his black coffee without saying a word to me. The chair creaks under my weight, as it always has. But today the sound seems sadder than ever. I open the pantry where I keep my treasures, a Danish cookie tin my sister gave me before she died, inside of which I have the few important documents still in my name. My birth certificate, the deed to my mother's house that Lawrence convinced me to sell, to invest in our future, and something he doesn't know exists. A bank account I opened 2 years ago with the money I got from selling the grand piano I inherited from my grandmother. I pull out the most recent statement, $2,500. It's not a fortune, but it's mine. Completely mine. And for the first time in decades, I feel something akin to power. I return to the kitchen and continue cooking, but something fundamental has shifted in me. With every movement, the kneading, the sautéing, the seasoning, I feel a strange strength rising from deep within my chest. It's as if my mother's words are waking up after years of hibernation. When Lawrence comes down for breakfast, he's wearing his navy blue silk robe and his salesman's smile. He pats me on the shoulder as if I were his favorite pet. "How's it going, sweetheart? Everything ready to impress the important people?" I serve him his coffee in the porcelain cup we only use on special occasions, and for the first time in years, I look him directly in the eye. Lawrence, I have a question. He's surprised. I haven't initiated a conversation in months. When was the last time you introduced me by my full name? He pauses, the cup halfway to his mouth. Excuse me? Catherine Hope Miller. That's my name. When was the last time you said it to anyone? His face twists into a mask of confusion and impatience. Catherine, I don't have time for philosophy. I have a very important meeting today. Can you just focus on the dinner? I nod, and he smiles, believing everything has returned to normal. But as I wash his cup, as I iron his white shirt, as I vacuum the living room where tonight his guests will talk as if I don't exist, my mind begins to form a plan that will begin at exactly 7 o'clock tonight. As I prepare the herbs for the short ribs, my thoughts fly back like leaves caught in the wind. Every sprig I chop reminds me of a story. Every clove of garlic I crush is a painful memory. 20 years ago, when Lawrence lost his job at the construction firm, I was the one who kept this house afloat. I sold my mother's jewelry, a pair of pearl earrings and an 18-karat gold chain I had saved to give to the daughter we never had, to pay the mortgage for 8 straight months. Lawrence spent his days on the sofa watching TV, saying that a man of his caliber couldn't just take any job. Catherine, you have to understand. I can't work at some convenience store or drive a cab. What would my contacts say? It's better to wait for something good to come along. Something good. While he waited for something good, I cleaned offices in the dead of night so the neighbors wouldn't see me. I would leave the house at 4 in the morning with my bucket and rags and return at 8 to make him breakfast as if nothing had happened. The oil sizzling in the pan transports me to that Christmas when Lawrence's mother was diagnosed with diabetes. Mrs. Hope, how ironic that we shared a name, needed daily insulin shots, expensive medication, a special diet. And who do you think took care of everything? For 3 years, that woman lived in our house. She slept in the room we had prepared for our future children, and I became her full-time nurse. I changed her adult diapers when she could no longer get up on her own. I fed her when her hands trembled too much. I read the Bible to her every night, because it was the only thing that calmed her down. And Lawrence? Lawrence would come home from work, greet her with a kiss on the forehead, and disappear into his study to unwind after a tough day. Catherine, you know I'm no good at these things. You have an angel's touch. My mother is better off with you than with me. An angel's touch. As if caring for his mother was a natural gift of mine, and not a sacrifice I chose to make every single day. When Mrs. Hope died, Lawrence cried at the funeral as if he had lost the most important person in the world. All the guests remarked what a devoted son he was, what a sensitive man. No one mentioned that I was the one who stayed up with her through the nightmares, who held her hand when the pain made her scream. In her will, Mrs. Hope left me her pearl rosary and a note that said, "For Catherine, the daughter I never had but always wanted." Lawrence got the house in Brooklyn Heights that she'd been renting out. The savings she had tucked away, everything with monetary value. It makes sense, Catherine. I'm the son. You have the rosary. That's very sentimental. Sentimental. As if my 3 years of sleepless nights could be paid for with a string of beads. The braise is achieving that perfect deep brown color that requires 2 hours of slow cooking. As I stir it, I remember the episode that hurts the most. 5 years ago, my sister Lucy found out she had ovarian cancer. She was my only immediate family, my confidant, the only person who knew me before I was Lawrence's wife. Lucy lived in Chicago with her husband and 2 kids. When she started chemo, she asked me to come stay with her during the treatments. She was scared, too weak to take care of her children alone. Catherine, I need you. You're the only one who can understand what I'm going through. I asked Lawrence for permission to go to Chicago for 2 weeks. 2 weeks to be with my dying sister. 2 weeks? Catherine, don't be ridiculous. I have important meetings, social commitments. Who's going to take care of me? Who's going to run the house? Lucy has a husband for that. Lawrence, please. She's my sister. This might be the last time. The last time what? Don't be so dramatic. People beat cancer all the time, Catherine. You can't just abandon your responsibilities here for an emotional indulgence. An emotional indulgence. That's what he called my need to say goodbye to the one person who loved me unconditionally. In the end, I didn't go. Lawrence hosted a dinner for his colleagues that very week. and I stayed, serving appetizers and smiling while my sister went through chemotherapy alone. Lucy died 3 months later. At the funeral, her husband hugged me and whispered in my ear, "She asked for you until the very end. She couldn't understand why you didn't come." That night, I cried until I had no tears left. Lawrence found me in the kitchen, sitting on the floor, holding a picture of Lucy. "Come on, Catherine. Death is a part of life. You have to be stronger. Stronger." As if strength meant not feeling pain for the only person who had ever loved me without reservation. The phone rings, and I jump. It's Lawrence's gruff voice from upstairs. "Catherine, is the dinner almost ready? Mr. Sterling is coming with his wife and 2 kids. He's also bringing his nephew, the one in marketing. That's 5 important people, don't forget. 5 important people. As always, I don't count in the total." As I finish preparing the polenta, I open the drawer where I keep the good tablecloths. There, tucked between the linen napkins I only use for special occasions, are the letters Lucy wrote me during her illness. I've read them so many times I know them by heart. "Catherine, my sister, I hope one day you realize how valuable you are. Lawrence doesn't deserve you. You are worth more than he makes you believe. Don't let that man completely extinguish your light. Mom didn't raise us to be anyone's shadow. If I don't make it out of this, promise me you'll live for yourself. Please, sister, promise me." I could never make her that promise. She died waiting for it. But now, as I set the dining room table with the silver cutlery, the cutlery my grandmother gave me for my wedding, which Lawrence shows off as if he bought it, I feel something different in my chest. It's as if Lucy's voice is whispering in my ear. It's as if my mother is standing next to the stove, stirring the pot with me. It's as if all the women in my family who came before me are telling me at once, "Enough, Catherine. Enough is enough. It's 5 in the afternoon. In 2 hours, the guests will arrive. And I, for the first time in 32 years, am going to do something Lawrence isn't expecting. Something he will never forget." It's 6:30 when Lawrence comes downstairs dressed in his charcoal gray suit, the same one he wore to his cousin's wedding last year. He checks himself in the hallway mirror and slicks his hair back with gel, as if he were a soap opera star and not a 55-year-old man with a beer belly. "Catherine, did you put out the crystal glasses? The good ones, the ones you inherited from your grandmother. I want these people to see we have class. The glasses I inherited from my grandmother." As if Lawrence had anything to do with that inheritance. As if he weren't the one who only uses them when he wants to impress strangers. "Yes, Lawrence. Everything is ready. And remember what we talked about. You serve, you smile, and you keep quiet. These people are from the Hamptons. They're not used to, well, you know." No, I don't know, but I don't ask either. I catch my reflection in the oven door. I'm wearing the navy blue dress I use for special occasions, the one I bought 4 years ago at a secondhand shop downtown. It's a bit faded, but it's the most elegant thing I own. My hair is pulled back in a simple bun, with a few rebellious gray hairs escaping at the sides. Lawrence looks me up and down, like he's assessing a product in a store. "It's fine, but please, don't talk about your work. Don't mention you clean offices. If anyone asks, you say you're a homemaker. It sounds better. A homemaker. As if cleaning offices at dawn were something I should be ashamed of. As if the money I earn from my job doesn't pay for half of this household's expenses." At 7 o'clock sharp, the doorbell rings. Lawrence straightens his tie one last time and motions for me to get the door. Of course, he can't open his own door. Mr. Eugene Sterling is a robust man in his 60s, with a perfectly trimmed gray mustache and a gold watch that shines so brightly it must cost more than my yearly salary. His wife, Rebecca, is a slender woman wearing a beige pantsuit, heels that click against the marble, and a handbag I recognize from the magazines I read at the doctor's office. Their children follow behind them. Eugene Jr., a young man of about 25 who can't stop checking his phone, and Sophia, a 22-year-old girl wearing more makeup than a prom queen. The last to enter is the nephew, Gerald, who must be around 30 and walks with the arrogance only men who've never had to worry about money possess. "Mr. Sterling! What a pleasure to have you in our home," Lawrence says with a grin that takes over his entire face. "This is my wife, my wife." He doesn't even say my name. "A pleasure to meet you," I murmur, extending my hand. Mr. Sterling gives it a quick shake, without really looking at me, like when you greet the doorman who opens the door for you. It smells delicious, Rebecca comments, glancing towards the kitchen. What did you prepare? Catherine cooked all day, Lawrence says, as if he owns my labor. She made braised short ribs, homemade ravioli, everything from scratch. She's very domestic, like a house pet. I lead them to the dining room, where I've set the table with the white tablecloth my mother hand-embroidered when I was 15. The linen napkins are folded into the shape of a flower, the china plates gleam under the chandelier's light, and the silver cutlery is arranged exactly as my grandmother taught me. What an elegant table, Sophia says, taking a picture with her phone, probably to post on her social media. Catherine has good taste for these things, Lawrence says, as if he's doing me a favor. I serve the appetizers while they talk about business, politics, the price of real estate on the Upper East Side. No one asks for my opinion on anything. I am a ghost who materializes only to refill glasses and clear plates. And what do you do, Mrs.? Gerald asks as I place the plate of short ribs in front of him. Before I can answer, Lawrence cuts in. Catherine is a homemaker. A full-time homemaker. A full-time homemaker. As if cleaning offices from 4 in the morning were my hobby. Throughout the entire dinner, I remain standing behind the chairs like an invisible waiter. When someone needs more water, I pour it. When the bread basket is empty, I bring more. When Mr. Sterling wants more sauce, I bring it to him. No one says thank you. No one says please. They simply expect what they need to appear, as if by magic. Lawrence has told me a lot about you, Mr. Sterling says to him while chewing his food. He says you're very ambitious, that you're eager to grow within the company. That's right, Mr. Sterling. I'm ready for any responsibility you see fit. They talk about the potential promotion, about new projects, about opportunities in Chicago. Lawrence acts like a teenager trying to impress the most popular girl in school. And would your wife be willing to move? Rebecca asks, addressing Lawrence but referring to me as if I were a piece of luggage. Of course, Catherine goes where I go. She's very adaptable. Adaptable. Like an object that can be moved from one place to another without being consulted. As I serve dessert, tiramisu, I overhear a conversation that chills me to the bone. Did they hire a caterer for tonight? Eugene Jr. asks, speaking quietly to his cousin Gerald. No, it's his wife. She's cooking and serving everything herself. Seriously? And she doesn't say anything? Apparently not. Lawrence told me she's very quiet, very obedient. Obedient, like a well-trained dog. Gerald laughs and adds, Lawrence is a lucky man. A wife who cooks like a chef and doesn't charge for the service. Doesn't charge for the service. My work, my effort, my 10 hours in the kitchen reduced to a free service. In that moment, I feel something inside me break. It's not my heart. That piece had been shattered so many times I'd learned to function without it. It's something deeper. It's my dignity finally saying enough. I go to the kitchen on the pretense of making coffee, but really, I need to get away before I explode. My hands tremble as I place the cups on the tray. The coffee is ready. The sugar is served. The cream is in its porcelain pitcher. When I return to the dining room, I hear Lawrence talking to Mr. Sterling. My wife is one of those traditional women, Mr. Sterling. She knows her place. Not like these modern feminists who want to compete with men. She knows her place. As if my place were always 3 steps behind. Always silent. Always invisible. I serve the coffee, feeling the rage rise from my stomach to my throat. No one looks at me. No one thanks me. I am a robot programmed to serve. After coffee, everyone moves to the living room. Lawrence puts on soft music and serves brandy in the crystal glasses I inherited from my grandmother, the glasses that sparkle in the lamplight, the same ones my grandmother only used on Christmas. I stay in the kitchen washing dishes. From there, I can hear their laughter, their conversations about trips to Europe, about new cars, about investments. They speak of a world I will never have access to, a world where women like me are merely the service staff. It's 10 o'clock when they leave. Lawrence walks them to the door with that smile glued to his face, saying goodbye as if they were family. When he closes the door, he returns to the living room, rubbing his hands together, satisfied. I think that went perfectly, Catherine. Mr. Sterling was very impressed with the dinner. He told me his wife wants the recipe for the short ribs. The recipe? Of course she wants the recipe. But no one wants to know the woman who made them. Catherine, you can clean up tomorrow. I'm exhausted. And with that, he goes upstairs to our bedroom, whistling a tune. I'm left alone in the dining room, surrounded by dirty plates, empty glasses, and crumbs on the tablecloth my mother embroidered with so much love. On the table, forgotten, is Gerald's phone. And when the screen lights up with a notification, I see something that changes my life forever. Gerald's phone buzzes on the table, the screen casting a bluish light that cuts through the dining room's gloom. My first instinct is to take it to the guest room so Lawrence can return it tomorrow, but something stops me. The screen displays a WhatsApp message. Just talked to Larry. All confirmed for Monday. My heart starts racing. Confirmed for what? I know I shouldn't, but my fingers move on their own, opening the conversation. What I read leaves me breathless. Gerald, you sure your uncle is going to approve the loan? Lawrence, relax. Catherine knows nothing about the money I have saved. As soon as I get the promotion, I'll transfer you the $20,000 for your business. Gerald, what if she finds out? Lawrence, she won't. She barely knows how to use an ATM. Besides, it's technically my money. I'm the one who works. Gerald, ha 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 ha, you're right. She's perfect for you, Larry. A wife who doesn't ask questions. Lawrence, exactly. That's why I married her. She was young, pretty, and very naive. Now she's not young or pretty anymore, but she's still naive. I have to sit down before I faint. The words dance before my eyes like black ants. $20,000. The money he has saved is my money. The savings from our joint accounts. The money from the sale of my mother's house. My own contributions from all these years. I keep reading, my hands trembling so much I can barely hold the phone. Gerald, so what are you going to do when you get transferred to Chicago? Lawrence, take her with me, obviously. Someone has to cook and clean. Plus, she won't know anyone there. She'll be completely dependent on me. Gerald, how convenient. Lawrence, honestly, Gerald, sometimes I wonder how I got so lucky. A woman who works like a dog, never complains, and on top of that, thanks me for providing for her. A woman who works like a dog. That's me to him. There are more messages, dated from several months ago. Lawrence, just sold the Brooklyn Heights house my mom left me. Catherine doesn't know it was mine to sell. She thinks we were just collecting rent from it. Gerald, how much did you get? Lawrence, $500,000. It's all in an account she doesn't know about. When I retire, I'm buying a condo in Miami Beach. Alone. Gerald. And Catherine. Lawrence. She can stay here cleaning offices. She served her purpose. $500,000. The house where I cared for his mother for 3 years. Where I changed her diapers and gave her medicine every day. Where I cried when she died. Was his. And he sold it without telling me. She can stay here cleaning offices. She served her purpose. I feel the world tilting. I grip the table where an hour ago I served these men who see me as a disposable servant. I keep reading, as if addicted to the pain. Lawrence. The other day, Catherine asked if we could visit her sister's grave in Chicago. I told her we didn't have money for trips. Gerald. And? Lawrence. She got sad, but didn't say anything. She never says anything. It's what I like most about her. Gerald. Meanwhile, you've got almost $500,000 stashed away, LOL, Lawrence. Exactly. And she's over there worrying about the $2.75 for the subway. The $2.75 for the subway. While I'm counting change for public transport, he has over $500,000 hidden in accounts I don't know exist. The phone slips from my hands and clatters onto the table. I just sit there, in the dark, processing the sheer scale of the betrayal. It's not just that he cheated on me with another woman. It's worse than that. He has been unfaithful to our entire life, to every sacrifice I made, to every dollar I saved, believing it was for us. I go upstairs like a zombie. Lawrence is already in bed, snoring with that peace only psychopaths and men with clear consciences can have. I watch him sleep, and for the first time in 32 years of marriage, I feel something like hatred. This man, snoring with his mouth open, with hair in his nose and a beer belly, has been planning my abandonment for years. He has been laughing at my naivety with his nephew, spending my money while making me believe we were poor. I go to the bathroom and look at myself in the mirror. I see a 58-year-old woman with wrinkles around her eyes, gray at her roots, hands rough from work. But I also see something new, a spark in my eyes I haven't seen in decades. I go back downstairs and pick up Gerald's phone again. This time, I don't just read. This time, I take screenshots. One by one, I save every conversation to my own phone. Then I look for something else. I open the phone's browser and check the history. I find searches that confirm what I already suspected. Condos for sale, Miami Beach. How to transfer money without wife finding out. Divorce after 50 USA. Divorce after 50. He's been planning to divorce me. But there's something else that catches my eye. A recent search. The Plaza Hotel NYC Presidential Suite. And then another. Private dinner for 8 persons presidential suite. My mind starts working at lightning speed. Why would Gerald be looking up information on the presidential suite at the Plaza? What dinner for 8 people? I dig deeper and find an open email in his account. It's a reservation confirmation. Dear Mr. Miller, we confirm your reservation for the presidential suite at the Plaza Hotel for November 15th, with a private dinner for 8 people. The total cost is $5,000, payable at the time of the event. Tomorrow is November 15th, and the email is addressed to Mr. Miller. Lawrence uses my last name when it suits him. I keep reading and find more details. The reservation includes waiter service, a 5-course tasting menu, premium wines, and special ambiance for a corporate celebration. It all starts to make sense. Lawrence is planning a dinner tomorrow at the most exclusive hotel in New York. A dinner to celebrate his promotion. A dinner to which I am certain I am not invited. I search the phone's contacts and find a WhatsApp group called Larry's Celebration. The members are Mr. Sterling, Rebecca, Eugene Jr., Sophia, Gerald, and 3 names I don't recognize. Probably other executives from the company. 8 people, just like the reservation said. I open the group chat. Mr. Sterling, confirmed. Tomorrow at 8 p.m. in the presidential suite at the Plaza. We're going to celebrate Lawrence's promotion in style. Gerald, what about his wife, Mr. Sterling? Lawrence already spoke with her. She's not coming. She prefers to stay home. Rebecca, better that way. It'll be a more relaxed celebration. Lawrence, exactly. Catherine understands this is just for partners and executives. A more relaxed celebration, without the burdensome wife in the way. The last message is from this evening, after they left my house. Lawrence, perfect. Everything went as I'd hoped. Mr. Sterling was impressed. Tomorrow we toast to my new position and to the future that awaits me. The future that awaits him. A future without me. I close the phone and leave it exactly where it was. I go up to our room and lie down next to the man who has been planning my destruction while I cooked for him, ironed his clothes, and warmed his bed. But for the first time in decades, I don't feel like crying. For the first time in decades, I feel like planning. Tomorrow is November 15th. Tomorrow, Lawrence is going to celebrate his promotion in the presidential suite at the Plaza Hotel. And tomorrow, I am going to give him a surprise he will never forget. A surprise that will cost exactly $2,500, the $2,500 I have in my secret account. The account he doesn't know exists. The account that is going to finance my revenge. At 6 in the morning, while Lawrence is still snoring like the happiest man in the world, I'm already dressed and ready, but not in my usual navy blue dress. Today, I put on the red dress I bought 5 years ago for my sister Lucy's birthday. The one I never dared to wear because Lawrence said it seemed too flashy for a woman my age. Today, I want to be flashy. I go down to the kitchen, and for the first time in 32 years of marriage, I don't make Lawrence's breakfast. Instead, I pour myself a coffee in the porcelain cup we only use for guests, put music on the radio, country music, which he hates, and take out the notebook where I track household expenses. But today, I'm not tracking expenses. Today I'm doing a different kind of accounting. On the first page I write, Catherine Hope Miller, Freedom Plan, November 15th. On the second page, I make a list of everything Lawrence owes me. Care for his mother for 3 years, $180,000. What a nurse would have cost. Cleaning and home maintenance for 32 years. $960,000. What a housekeeping service would have cost. Meals prepared. 2,000 meals a year for 32 years. 64,000 meals. At an average of 15 a meal, $960,000. My contribution to the house from my mother's inheritance. $100,000 early morning jobs he never knew about. $20,500 monthly for 8 months, at $20,000. Total, $2,220,000 that Lawrence owes me. Compared to that, my saved $2,500 is a pittance. At 7:30, Lawrence comes down in his robe, expecting to find his breakfast served as always. "Catherine, where's my coffee?" "Good morning, Lawrence," I say without looking up from my notebook. "The coffee's in the kitchen. Help yourself." He stands in the doorway as if he didn't understand what I said. "What do you mean, help myself? Are you feeling sick?" "On the contrary, I feel great. Better than ever." "Catherine, I don't have time for your morning dramas. I have a very important day today." "Yes, I know. You have your celebration dinner at the plaza today, the one I wasn't invited to." "Lawrence, sit down. We need to talk." "Talk about what? I already told you I'm in a hurry." I close my notebook and look him directly in the eyes. I haven't done that in years. I see surprise on his face, as if he had forgotten the color of my eyes. Gerald left his phone on the table last night. His expression doesn't change. He still doesn't see where this is going. So what? I'll give it back to him at the office today. Before you give it back, I think you should know a message came through. Now his expression changes. A shadow of worry crosses his face. "Catherine, I hope you didn't touch Gerald's phone. That's an invasion of privacy." An invasion of privacy. How rich. Coming from a man who has been invading my entire life for decades. You're right. It was an invasion of privacy, just as much as planning your future without me is an invasion of my marriage. He slowly sits down in the chair, like a balloon gradually deflating. "I don't know what you're talking about." I take out my phone and show him the screenshots. One by one. His face changes color as he sees them, going from pink to red, from red to white. A woman who works like a dog and never complains. That's me, isn't it, Lawrence? Silence. She's served her purpose. That's me too. More silence. She can stay here cleaning offices. That's my future, according to you. He finally speaks, but his voice comes out as a whisper. "Catherine, I can explain." "Explain what?" "That you have $500,000 saved while I'm counting change for the subway? That you sold your mother's house without telling me? That you've been planning to leave me for years?" He runs his hands through his hair. That gesture he makes when he's nervous. "Things aren't how you understand them." "They're not? Then explain to me how they are. Explain why you have a reservation for 8 people in the presidential suite at the plaza for tonight, and I'm not invited." His face goes completely white. "How do you know about that?" "Because unlike you, I do know how to read. And I also know how to use a phone." He gets up and starts pacing, like a caged animal. "Look, Catherine, it's a business dinner. You wouldn't be comfortable." "Comfortable? Like I was comfortable last night serving your guests like a maid? Like I was comfortable caring for your mother for 3 years? Like I was comfortable working in the middle of the night to pay the bills when you lost your job? That's different." "No, Lawrence. It's exactly the same. You make the decisions, and I pay the consequences." I get up and walk to the kitchen. He follows me, like a dog afraid of losing its owner. "What are you going to do, Catherine?" I open the fridge and take out the ingredients for a sandwich. "Just for me. I'm going to do what you've been doing for years. I'm going to plan my future." "Catherine, please, we can fix this. We can talk." "Talk? Like we talked about selling your mother's house? Like we talked about your secret savings? Like we talked about your dinner tonight?" I make my sandwich calmly, slicing the tomato into perfect rounds, spreading mayonnaise on the bread. Lawrence watches me as if I were an exotic animal he had never seen before. "You know what, Lawrence? You're right about one thing. I am very naive. So naive I thought we were a team. So naive I thought my sacrifices mattered. So naive I thought you loved me. I do love you, Catherine. Of course I love you." I laugh. It's the first time I've genuinely laughed in years. "You love me? The woman who works like a dog? The woman who has served her purpose? The woman you'd rather leave cleaning offices while you live it up in Miami Beach? Those conversations, they were just Just talk. No, Lawrence, it was planning. And you know what? I'm going to do some planning too. I take a bite of my sandwich. It's delicious. It's the first breakfast I've enjoyed in years. I'm going out. I have things to do. Where are you going? Wherever I damn well please. For the first time in 32 years, I'm going to do what I want to do. I grab my purse, my keys, and walk to the door. Lawrence follows me, growing more desperate by the second. Catherine? Wait. You can't just leave like this. We need to discuss this like adults. I turn back to him one last time before leaving. Adults, Lawrence? Adults talk before making decisions that affect their partner. Adults don't hide money. Adults don't plan futures in secret. You lost the right to ask me to act like an adult when you decided to treat me like a foolish child for all these years. I walk out and close the door behind me. I hear his voice shouting my name, but I don't turn back. I walk down the sidewalk with the steadiest gait I've had in decades. Every step feels like a declaration of independence. My first stop is the bank. It's time for Catherine Hope Miller to take control of her own money. My second stop will be the Plaza Hotel. I have a reservation to make. A reservation that is going to change my life forever. The National Trust Bank greets me with its icy air conditioning and the smell of new money that had always intimidated me. Not today. Today, I walk straight to the private client desk as if I own the place. Good morning. I need to make a transfer and check the balance on all of my accounts. The banker, a young woman in her 30s in a navy blue suit, reviews my ID and my cards. Mrs. Miller? I see you have an individual account with a balance of $2,547, and you are also listed as a joint owner on 2 accounts with Mr. Lawrence Miller. I want to know the balance of those joint accounts. Her fingers fly across the keyboard. The joint savings account has a balance of $547,000, and the checking account has $56,000. Over $600,000. $600,000 that Lawrence made me believe we didn't have while I was counting change for the subway. Can I withdraw money from those accounts? Of course, ma'am. As a joint owner, you are entitled to withdraw up to 50% of the balance of each account without the other owner's authorization. $300,000. I can withdraw $300,000 right now. I want to transfer $300,000 from the joint accounts to my individual account. Are you sure, ma'am? That's a considerable amount? Completely sure. It's my money. While the banker processes the transfer, I take out my phone and call the Plaza Hotel. The Plaza Hotel, good morning? Good morning. This is Catherine Miller. I'd like to make a reservation for this evening. For how many people? For 1 person. Me. I want the most exclusive suite you have available. We have the Imperial Suite available. It is our most luxurious suite, with a panoramic view of the city, personal butler service, and a private dinner included. The cost is $6,000 per night. $6,000. More than I make in 3 months cleaning offices. Perfect. I'll take it. In whose name shall I make the reservation? Catherine Hope Miller. And I want you to send personal invitations to a list of people to join me for dinner tonight at 8. I dictate the names. Mr. Eugene Sterling, Rebecca Sterling, Eugene Jr., Sophia, Gerald, and of course, Lawrence Miller. The same 8 people who were going to celebrate without me. What type of event will it be, ma'am? A celebration. A celebration of freedom. When I leave the bank, I have $302,547 in my personal account and a suite reserved at the most exclusive hotel in New York. For the first time in my adult life, I have real financial power. My next stop is Saks Fifth Avenue. I walk into the store where I had never bought anything because Lawrence said it was too expensive for our budget. A sales associate greets me with the professional smile given to all clients. Good morning, ma'am. How may I help you? I need a dress for a very special occasion. Something elegant, sophisticated, something that will make people remember me forever. She shows me beautiful dresses that cost more than my monthly salary, but less than what Lawrence spends on suits in a year. I choose a black silk dress with gold details, high heels that make me look taller and more confident, and a small but elegant handbag. I also buy makeup at the cosmetics counter and pay to have a professional apply it right there. When I look in the mirror, I don't recognize the woman looking back at me. This woman's back is straight, her head is held high, Her eyes are shining. This woman looks like someone who deserves respect. At 5 in the afternoon, I arrive at the Plaza Hotel. It's more impressive than I had imagined. The lobby is a display of white marble, crystal chandeliers, and the kind of luxury I had only ever seen in magazines. "Mrs. Miller, welcome," the manager, a distinguished man in his 50s, says to me. "Your suite is ready, and we have sent the invitations as you requested. The tasting menu is confirmed for 8. Perfect. Did the invitations reach their recipients?" "Yes, ma'am. All were delivered personally by our couriers." I go up to the Imperial Suite and my breath catches. It's bigger than the entire ground floor of my house. It has a living room, a dining room for 12, a spectacular view of the whole city, and a bathroom with a marble tub larger than my kitchen. I sit on the blue velvet sofa and check my phone. I have 15 missed calls from Lawrence. 15. I also have text messages. "Catherine, where are you? I'm worried. Please answer. We can fix this. Catherine, this is ridiculous. Come back home. Did you take money from our accounts? Have you gone insane? Ah, he found out about the money. He must have run to the bank quickly." I don't answer any of his messages. At 7:30, I get ready calmly. I put on the black dress, style my hair in an elegant chignon, and slip on the new shoes. In the vanity mirror, I see a woman I haven't seen in decades. A woman of worth. At 8 o'clock sharp, there's a knock at the suite door. It's the hotel waiter. "Mrs. Miller, your guests are arriving." "Perfect. Send them in." They enter one by one, all with looks of utter confusion. Mr. Sterling and Rebecca arrive first, elegantly dressed but clearly disoriented. "Catherine?" Rebecca says, as if unsure it's really me. What are you doing here?" "Good evening, Rebecca. I was waiting for you." Eugene Jr. and Sophia arrive, just as confused. Finally, Gerald and Lawrence enter. Lawrence is as pale as a ghost. He looks at me as if I were an apparition. "Catherine, what is the meaning of this?" "It means I decided to host my own celebration. Please, have a seat." Everyone sits around the table, uncomfortable, not understanding what's happening. I remain standing at the head of the table, feeling for the first time in my life that I am in control of the situation. "I suppose you're wondering why you're here," I say in a clear, firm voice. "You're here because last night, while I was serving dinner in my own home like an invisible servant, you were planning a celebration to which I was not invited." Nervous glances, uncomfortable coughs. "You are here because my husband has been planning his future without me for years, and I think it's time for all of you to meet the real Catherine Miller." "Catherine, please," Lawrence whispers. "This is embarrassing." "Embarrassing? More embarrassing than calling me a woman who works like a dog? More embarrassing than saying I have served my purpose?" Mr. Sterling clears his throat. "Ma'am, I believe there's been a misunderstanding." "There is no misunderstanding, Mr. Sterling. There is evidence." I take out my phone and connect it to the suite's large screen. The WhatsApp conversations appear projected on the wall, enormous, impossible to deny. Complete silence. For 32 years, I have been invisible. I have cooked, cleaned, cared, worked, sacrificed, and kept quiet. But it turns out that while I was doing all that, my husband was hiding over $500,000 in secret accounts and planning to abandon me. Lawrence tries to stand up. "Catherine, this is private." "Sit down," I yell with a voice I didn't know I possessed. "You no longer have the right to decide what is private and what isn't." He sits. For the first time in our marriage, Lawrence obeys me. "Tonight, you are all going to celebrate Lawrence's promotion. A promotion he got thanks to the dinners I cooked, in the house I maintained, with the money I also contributed." I look each of them directly in the eye. "But you know what? I have something to celebrate too. Today, I celebrate finally discovering my own worth. I celebrate that I will no longer be invisible. And I celebrate that Lawrence can go to Miami Beach alone, because I will no longer be waiting for him when he gets back." The silence in the suite is so profound you can hear the ticking of the clock on the wall. Everyone is staring at me as if I've grown a second head, but I feel calmer than ever. Lawrence tries to regain control. "Catherine, I think you're upset. This isn't like you." "You're right, Lawrence. This isn't like the Catherine you know. The Catherine you knew was a shadow, a woman so afraid of being alone that she preferred to stay with someone who despised her. I walk over to the panoramic window overlooking the entire city. The lights twinkle like fallen stars, each one representing lives, stories, possibilities I had never allowed myself to imagine. But that Catherine died last night, when I read how my husband of 32 years talked about me with his nephew. When I discovered that to him, I was just a free housekeeper with occasional sexual benefits. "Catherine, please," Rebecca whispers, clearly uncomfortable. "Please what? Please be quiet? Please become invisible again?" "No, Rebecca. I have been quiet for 3 decades. Now it's my turn to speak." I return to the table and sit at its head, in the host's rightful place. But tonight, I am the host. Do you know what I discovered at the bank today? That Lawrence has been lying about our finances for years. While he made me believe we were poor, he had over $500,000 saved in accounts I knew nothing about. Mr. Sterling clears his throat. "Mrs. Miller, perhaps this isn't the appropriate place to—" "For what? For the truth?" "You know what, Mr. Sterling? You're right. This is not the appropriate place for lies, for deceit, for making women feel like they're worthless. But it is the perfect place for the truth." Gerald, who has been silent the whole time, finally speaks up. "Aunt Catherine, I think you're overreacting." "Aunt Catherine?" I laugh bitterly. "How funny that you call me aunt, when just yesterday you were texting Lawrence that I was perfect because I didn't ask questions, when you were laughing about me being very obedient, when you were planning to use my money for your business without telling me." Gerald turns beet red. That was taken out of context." "Taken out of context? Can telling someone they have served their purpose be taken out of context?" At that moment, the hotel waiters arrive with dinner, a meal fit for kings. Salmon with hollandaise sauce, herb-crusted lamb, roasted vegetables, fine wines that cost more than my weekly salary. "Dinner is served," I announce as the waiters place the dishes before each guest. "A dinner that I paid for, in a suite that I reserved, with money that I withdrew from the accounts of which I am a joint owner." Lawrence is trembling with rage. "Catherine, that's enough. You're making a fool of yourself." "Making a fool of myself? Like when you told Gerald you got so lucky with me because I was young, pretty, and naive? But that now I wasn't young or pretty anymore, but I was still naive?" Sophia lets out a small gasp. Even she, at 22, with her life of privilege, understands the cruelty of those words. "Do you know what the saddest part of all this is?" I continue, calmly cutting my salmon. "It's not that Lawrence planned to abandon me. It's that for all these years, I gave him reasons to believe he could treat me this way." "Catherine," Lawrence whispers. "No, let me finish. I gave him reasons because I never said no, because I never stood up for myself, because when he treated me poorly, my reaction was to try to be a better wife, a better cook, a better servant. I take a sip of the most expensive wine I've ever tasted. It tastes like freedom. But that's over. I hired a lawyer today. We're starting divorce proceedings tomorrow. And no, Lawrence, it won't be the divorce you planned, where you get everything, and I'm left cleaning offices." His face completely falls. "You can't. You don't have the right. I don't have the right. I have the right to half of everything we accumulated during our marriage. I have the right to alimony. I have the right to the house. And above all, I have the right to a life where I am not treated like garbage." I stand up and walk to the window again. The city stretches out infinitely before me, full of possibilities that for the first time in decades, I dare to consider. Furthermore, I've already made other decisions. I quit my cleaning job. I'm going to use my share of the money to study something I've always wanted to, professional gastronomy. I'm going to open my own business. "With what money?" Lawrence asks desperately. "With my money, Lawrence. The 50% that is mine by law, plus whatever the judge determines you owe me for all these years of unpaid domestic labor." Mr. Sterling stands up abruptly. "I think we should be going. This is uncomfortable." "Of course it's uncomfortable, Mr. Sterling. The truth is always uncomfortable for those who benefit from lies." Rebecca picks up her purse. "Catherine, I think you're making a mistake. Marriages go through crises." "A crisis?" Is 32 years of systematic contempt a crisis? Is secretly planning to abandon your wife a crisis? One by one, they start to get up, clearly wanting to escape the situation. But before they reach the door, I say something that stops them in their tracks. Just so you know, this conversation is being recorded. They all turn around like statues of salt. I have the entire dinner on tape, and tomorrow, copies of this recording will be sent to your company's Human Resources Department, Mr. Sterling. They will know exactly what kind of men Lawrence and Gerald are. They'll know how they treat women when they think no one is watching. You can't do that, Gerald growls. Can I? I just did. Lawrence approaches me, pleading. Catherine, please. You'll destroy my career. Everything I've worked for. Everything you've worked for? And what about everything I've worked for? What about my 32 years of sacrifice? What about the life you were planning to throw in the trash? I step closer to him, and for the first time in decades, he's the one who has to look up to meet my eyes, because my heels make me taller. You have two options, Lawrence. Either you give me the divorce I want on my terms without a fight, or tomorrow your entire company will know who you really are. And believe me, with the evidence I have of financial and emotional abuse, your career will be the least of your worries. He stands there, silent, defeated. But don't worry, I continue with a smile. You can still go to Miami Beach. You'll just have to do it with your share of the money, not mine. And you'll have to learn to cook, clean, and wash your own clothes. Or you can find another young, pretty, and naive woman to do all that for you. I watch them leave like a funeral procession. Lawrence is the last to go. At the door, he turns one last time. Catherine, this isn't over. You're right, Lawrence. It isn't over. It's going to get so much better. For me. When the door closes and I'm left alone in the suite, I don't feel sadness. I don't feel fear. I feel something I haven't felt in decades. I feel hope. I pour myself another glass of the expensive wine and make a toast to myself. To Catherine Hope Miller. To the woman I thought I had lost forever. To the woman who was just reborn. 6 months later, I'm standing in the kitchen of my own restaurant in Soho, overseeing the Friday night dinner service. The place is called Hope, for my middle name and for what it represents. And it's everything I ever dreamed of but never dared to imagine. It's a small, intimate restaurant with only 12 tables, specializing in modern American comfort food with a gourmet twist. The walls are decorated with photographs of my mother and my sister Lucy, and in a special corner, I have a framed picture of my grandmother in her flower-dusted apron, smiling down at me from heaven. Chef Catherine, says Rodrigo, my sous chef, a 25-year-old who studied at the Culinary Institute of America, where I just finished my certificate program. Table 7 wants to congratulate you personally. They said they've never tasted short ribs so tender. Chef Catherine. I still get a thrill every time someone calls me that. I'll be right out, I reply as I finish plating the apple crumble we're serving as a special dessert. It's been 6 months of changes that feel like 6 decades. The divorce was settled exactly as I wanted. Lawrence had to give me 60% of all our assets, plus alimony for 5 years. His lawyer tried to fight it, but the recordings from that night at the hotel were enough evidence to prove financial and emotional abuse. I sold the Upper East Side house immediately. I couldn't live there after everything that had happened. With that money, I bought a beautiful apartment in Soho, 3 blocks from my restaurant, with a terrace where I grow my own herbs and where I have breakfast every morning watching the sunrise. Lawrence did go to Miami Beach, but he didn't last 2 months. Turns out living alone wasn't as easy as he had planned, especially after his reputation at the company was ruined when the recordings reached HR. He resigned for personal reasons before they could fire him. The last I heard, he was working as an insurance salesman in Orlando, living in a 2-bedroom apartment. Gerald, his accomplice, also had to find work at another company. Mr. Sterling took early retirement after the scandal, but I don't live thinking about them. I have much better things to occupy my mind. Like my clientele, which grows more every day. Like the 3 employees I've hired, all with fair wages and full benefits. Like the cooking classes I teach on Saturday mornings for women who, like my former self, need to discover their own talents. Chef Catherine, says Sophia, my manager, not Mr. Sterling's daughter, but a 40-year-old woman who recently got divorced and understands my story perfectly. The journalist from Cuisine and Culture magazine is here. She wants to interview you for the piece on female entrepreneurs over 50. An interview. About me. About my story. A year ago, I would have run and hidden. Today, I straighten my apron and walk to the table with the confidence of someone who has discovered her own worth. The journalist is a young woman, around 35, with a recorder and a notebook. She introduces herself as Carla Mendez. Chef Catherine, I've heard so much about you. They say your life story is as impressive as your food. Thank you, Carla. Though I don't know how impressive it is. It's just the story of a woman who finally learned to value herself. Tell me, what was the transition like from being a homemaker to a chef and owner? I sit across from her, and for a moment, the memories transport me back to that November morning when I discovered the truth about my marriage. It was like waking up from a very long dream. A dream where I wasn't the protagonist of my own life. I tell her my story, edited, of course, but honest. I tell her about the years of silent sacrifice. The moment I discovered my value as a person had been reduced to my function as a free domestic employee, and the night I decided to take back my dignity. What was the most difficult part of the process? Forgiving myself for allowing myself to be treated that way for so long. Understanding that self-love isn't selfishness, it's survival. And what would you say to a woman who is living through a similar situation? I pause for a moment, thinking of all the women who come to my cooking classes on Saturdays. Women with dull eyes, who speak in whispers, who take up as little space as possible as if apologizing for existing. I would tell her that she is worth so much more than they've made her believe, that it's never too late to start over, that the fear of being alone should never be greater than the fear of a life without dignity. When the interview is over, Carla shakes my hand firmly. Your story is going to inspire so many women, Chef Catherine. After she leaves, I remain seated in my empty restaurant. Service is over for the night. Looking around at this space I built with my own hands and my own money. The tables are clean. The chairs are arranged. The kitchen is gleaming. The whole place smells of fresh thyme and the garlic we roasted this morning. On the wall hangs the first review we ever got. Hope is not just a restaurant. It's a testament to the fact that the best flavor comes from a free kitchen. A free kitchen. How beautiful. My phone buzzes with a text from my nephew Peter, my sister Lucy's son. Since the divorce, we've reconnected, restoring the contact Lawrence had forbidden me from keeping. Aunt Catherine, I saw the online article about your restaurant. Mom would be so proud. I am too. Lucy would be proud. My mother would be too. My grandmother too. All the women who came before me and who taught me through their examples and their stories that a woman is worth so much more than the roles others assign to her. I lock up the restaurant and walk the 3 blocks to my apartment. It's Friday night, and for the first time in over 30 years, I don't have to wonder what someone else will want for dinner, or if someone will be waiting at home with a list of complaints about my day. My apartment is small, but it's mine. The walls are painted colors I chose. Yellow for the kitchen, green for the living room. I bought the furniture myself, piece by piece, choosing each one not for what someone else would say, but for how it makes me feel. On the terrace, I have a small table where I eat when the weather is nice. Tonight, I make something simple. A grilled cheese sandwich with the heirloom tomatoes I grow in my planters, a glass of fresh iced tea, and for dessert, a slice of the cheesecake left over from the restaurant. As I eat, I think about how strange it is to eat in silence without the silence feeling empty or threatening. This silence is full of possibilities, of plans for tomorrow's menu, of ideas to expand the restaurant, of dreams I can finally allow myself to dream. After dinner, I change into the pajamas I bought last week, pink with flowers, the kind Lawrence would have said was too youthful for a woman your age, and I sit on my sofa to read. I'm reading a book on French baking techniques. I want to start making my own bread for the restaurant. At 10 o'clock, my phone rings. It's a number I don't recognize. Hello? Chef Catherine? My name is Teresa Reed. My sister-in-law took your cooking class last Saturday and recommended I call you. I'm going through a situation similar to what you went through. Could we possibly talk? Teresa. Another woman who needs to find her own strength. Of course, Teresa. Why don't you meet me at the restaurant tomorrow? at 1 o'clock after the lunch service. Really? You wouldn't mind? Not at all. Being here for other women is part of why I do what I do. After I hang up, I think about Teresa, about all the Teresas out there, about all the Catherines who came before and who don't yet know they can stop being who they were. I get up and walk onto the balcony. The city stretches out before me. Millions of lights, millions of stories. Somewhere in those lights are women who believe they are worthless, that their value is determined by how well they serve others, that their silence is the price they must pay for love. But also, somewhere in those lights, women are discovering their own power. Women are making decisions. Women are telling themselves, for the first time, I am worth more than this. And that is what hope truly feels like. Have you lived through or do you know someone who has been through something similar to what Catherine experienced? Tell me about it in the comments. And if this story touched your heart, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel so this message can reach someone who needs to hear it.